Moscow's military aggression is no secret. Russia has invaded Romania's Black Sea neighbors, Georgia and Ukraine, very, very close, and continues to illegally occupy parts of the territories of those two countries. Sadly, we mark the 5th anniversary of Russia's widely condemned annexation of Crimea this past month. In November of last year, Russia seized 3 Ukrainian vessels and sailors in the Kerch Strait. The sailors remain in Russia as hostages. Russia's influence and intentions in the Republic of Moldova, with an estimated 1,200 Russian troops still deployed in Transnistria, are another point of concern. Of course, the threat is not limited to traditional military aggression. Propaganda, although not a new tactic, uses modern tools like social media to quickly disseminate disinformation, reaching a wider audience than ever before at the click of a button. Information aggression throughout Europe is a growing concern, and the targets are diverse. We see disinformation used to attack modern technology and medicine, like vaccines, and to hinder rule of law and anti-corruption programs. In Romania, disinformation often seeks to undermine security and defense initiatives, portraying military defense as either Russophobic paranoia, useless in the face of Russia's military prowess, or an offensive threat that justifies almost any type of military attack by Russia. The narrative changes depending on what the Kremlin thinks will resonate most strongly with the target populace. A good example of this kind of information aggression pertains to the Devaselu anti-ballistic missile sites in western Romania. A defensive establishment which is there to protect Romania and all of the transatlantic community from missiles originating in the Middle East, but which Kremlin mouthpiece Sputnik has long claimed, falsely, is offensive and aimed at Russian cities and military targets. There are other tactics used by Russia in its malign influence arsenal, but what they have in common is the goal to weaken Romania and damage Romania's faith in its partners and in each other. Russia wants to turn Romania against the West, challenge our shared values, and weaken Western institutions. It seeks to drive a wedge not only between Romania and the West, but also among Romanians themselves, undermining confidence in their own institutions and inflaming the already existing tensions in Romanian society. Why, you may ask, why does Russia care so much about Romania? What is the end goal of these malign influence efforts? Why does Russia want to make us fearful of each other? Because if you are worried about your neighbors in your own country, if you doubt the reliability of your allies, such as the United States, you will be less able to generate the political will to defend your national interests. You will be more likely to capitulate to Russian efforts to reassert dominance in the region. Russian President Putin has made very clear that he mourns, that he regrets the loss of the Soviet Union and seeks to reestablish the sphere of influence which Russia enjoyed during the communist era. Unfortunately for Romania and all of Central and Eastern Europe, Russia sees Romania as an opportunity. Russia wants a weak Romania and Europe, one that is confused, divided, and distrustful. This is not what the United States wants, however. The United States wants a strong, united Romania and a strong, united Europe. America supports Romania's efforts to strengthen civil society, combat corruption, promote the rule of law, and encourage media literacy. We believe in engaged, enlightened, confident, and self-reliant citizenry is Romania's greatest weapon and Russia's greatest fear. We live in a very different world today, but the world of the Cold War and Soviet domination of Eastern Europe is not so distant. So I ask you, do not take for granted democracy in Romania. I encourage you to stand watch Romania has its strength vis-a-vis malign influence, but even the strongest countries can come under attack. This occurred in the United States in 2016, when the Russians sought to meddle in my own country's elections. And this is only one example. The invasion of Crimea by Russia and the resulting disenfranchisement of the voters living in that occupied area is another, more extreme example of what is at stake. But malign influence is often more subtle. It can be a slow, sometimes imperceptible, chipping away of democratic standards, the installation of speed bumps rather than roadblocks to the functioning of free and open markets. I encourage all of you to be vigilant against Russia's hybrid aggression, to view information critically and question stories that do not reflect reality. Be wary of sensational, conspiratorial stories that aim to drive a wedge between members of your own communities.